Hi, my name is Melissa Garcia, and today I'm going to talk to you about the roles and responsibilities of the special education teacher. First, let's talk about what the roles of the special education teacher are. I have here 5 roles and responsibilities of the special education teacher broke down into categories. First one is supporting learning within the school. This is going to be differentiating instruction to support the needs of the student and provide them with an appropriately ambitious education. Next is to interpret evaluations and learn about each student in order to develop an IEP or a 504, and this includes their disabilities, strengths, and their needs. And then last is to implement the IEP or 504 in the classroom, as well as analyze assessments to provide the data needed to determine the needs and growth also of the student. The next responsibility we're going to talk about is the collaborative responsibility, and that is to cooperate with the IEP team to devise the IEP or 504 that best supports their strengths and needs. And next, you work with the classroom teachers and also other staff in the school to ensure that the proper accommodations and placement in the least restrictive environment are being acknowledged and respected and utilized. And last is to communicate students' needs and progress by providing required data and progress report documents to the families. Now we're going to go into the legal responsibilities, which of course are to adhere to all special education laws and regulations according to IDEA, Section 504 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973 and the ADA. To follow non-discriminatory evaluation safeguards such as assessment procedures and parental notice and consent, and then to sustain the confidentiality and the rights and the dignity of both the students and the families. The next responsibility is the ethical responsibilities. So those include to comply with the CEC Code of Ethics, to practice culturally responsive teaching and restorative justice, apply positive behavior supports in place of suspension or expulsion, and then this one's kind of pointed at my job. We are able to restrain children if they are in danger of harming themselves or others. But I did want to include this because I think it's very important that to utilize restraint and seclusion only as a last resort and to instead focus on the prevention measures. And we do that here using the ARC framework and RCD. ARC framework is the Attachment Regulation and Competency Framework, and it's used for traumatized children, sorry. And then RCD is responsibility-centered discipline, and that's helping kids work through taking accountability and responsibility for their actions and also their ability to regulate themselves in different situations. And then the last thing is to regulate your personal bias, opinions, and beliefs. And the last responsibility I'm going to talk about is the advocacy responsibilities, which are to advocate against discrimination, to counter ableism, prejudice, stereotyping, and social oppression towards people with disabilities, model and promote using person-first language, work to identify and remove systemic biases and promote cultural justice, and then also to promote equity and help to prevent bullying. Part 2 is my personal vision as a special education teacher. So right now I currently teach in it's a really cool school. It's a mental facility. All students have an IEP. All of them have SEB goals, and most of them have academic goals. So the differences between my current job and when I am certified will be that I'll be solely responsible for all the paperwork involved in the SPED process, such as IEP writing, progress reporting, parent communication, and any other legal processes. So I'll still be teaching, giving assessments, and analyzing the data. And that is both to promote growth for the kids as well as identify their needs. And that's both SEB and academically. I plan on doing this by really bringing in some of my best traits into the classroom and trying to model those for the kids to learn. They include generosity, self-control, curiosity, having high expectations for these kids. I know a lot of times they come in thinking that they're dumb or they're stupid, they failed somewhere else, they can't do it here. So having high expectations and seeing them succeed really helps them build their own self-confidence, which I love. Then also reflection. So daily reflection really helps move things forward, make things better in the classroom. Being open-minded about their different beliefs, different backgrounds. I grew up in a fairly easy childhood. I was very privileged. I didn't grow up with any disabilities, and so being open-minded to how their lives can be different because of those things is very helpful, I think, in any classroom. And then resilience, being able to bounce back and recover from a difficult situation or a difficult day or a difficult week, and come back and love these kids and let them know that you're not going anywhere and you don't hate them and hold anything against them is important. And then also, of course, honesty and compassion and dedication and integrity. Those are all things that I hope to model for my students and hope that they learn and grow from my modeling. Part 3, the ethical frameworks and professional practice standards that I looked at are, of course, that ARC framework and the Responsibility Centered Discipline, the RCD. Give them 5. There's 2 visuals there. It's to help support kids who have had trauma, which is what we deal with a lot here. And I also think that applies to a lot of students with disabilities. And then also, of course, IDEA's 6 principles, the CEC Code of Ethics, and then also the related services. And the ones that we have in my school are a little bit different. We do have counseling, parent counseling. We do have the recreational and therapeutic recreation, and we have social work services in school all the time. We have the more regular, if you will, like the speech and occupational therapy. Part 4, Christian worldview and servant leadership. So in the GCU statement on the integration of faith and work, it says, "We believe that God, the Almighty, created the world, placed human beings within it, and blessed them by making them responsible for cultivating and caring for creation. Therefore, we are assured that our work within the world matters to God and our neighbors, and that we honor God by serving others in ways that promote human flourishing." So I found a Bible verse that really stuck to me. It's been one of my favorites since I was young. Isaiah 40 verse 11 is, "He tends his flock like a shepherd. He gathers the lambs in his arms and carries them close to his heart. He gently leads those that have young." To me, God does tend his flock like a shepherd, and that is all of us. And he protects us and he guides us. And he does gather all of these kiddos in his arms, and he carries them right close to his heart and guides them through life. And then the part that really got to me, he gently leads those that have young. These kiddos aren't our children per se, but they are our kids. And I really feel that as a special education teacher, we definitely need God's guidance and leadership to help us through not only everyday struggles at school, but at home, and to help us be stronger for our kids that we're serving. So that Bible verse really stuck out to me. All right, and the final part of my talk here is talking about the diverse learning needs of students and how I will keep up with new needs, new findings, and how I will grow myself as a teacher. I can do that through professional development trainings online. Here in Montana, we have the OPI website, the Learning Hub for Montana educators, as well as annual teacher conventions. I also, PLC meetings with my team at school. They bring in trainers a lot. Also daily reflection, not only self-reflection, but also with my team. I have a team of 4 of us that work in the classroom. So often we do, just daily reflecting to figure out how we can better serve these kids, and that will still be very important. And then also mentorship opportunities. So, I can take any opportunity I have to ask questions, watch other special education teachers in my school as well as my community. It's a pretty small community and people are pretty willing to help. So, and then the last thing is the IEFA trainings and resources that we have here for the Indian Education for All. And I think that that's really important. Part of my vision is to create trust in the classroom for all of my students. So being able to include all the microcultures and the cultural identities in materials and instruction on a daily or at least weekly basis, will really create that trust with all of my students. So those are some ways, and that is my spiel. I hope that you have a wonderful day.